Hey everyone, the entire world has recently been blessed by God in the form of the successor to the Bible, that being the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. But despite the amount of people appreciating this masterpiece, there are a few people who are saying that's awful and shitty. And I wanted you to take the time to hear the opinions on it, because I haven't seen it. But I did want you to hear some critiques about the film, just so that I can watch it later and see that they were absolutely wrong about what they said. I also want you to see some of the cameos, because later on, you'll see MatPat make an appearance, which I think was kind of cute, with him also doing his catchphrase, which you will see later on in this video. What the fuck is this channel? What is this channel that has an ad on other videos? Well, I'll definitely be subscribing.
I went out to see the Five Nights at Freddy's film, and I can definitely tell why the reviews are so polarizing, with the critics, the boomers, people over the age of 50, despising the film, thinking it's completely talentless, there's no good actors, there's inconsistencies, there's plot holes, and then you have the actual core fan base of Five Nights at Freddy's that are saying it's like the second coming of Christ and giving it like 9s and 10s out of 10s, and I think both sides are pretty wrong. So I did go and see the film, if you don't believe.
Okay, no, I thought you were gonna say that the fans are pretty blind to the quality of the movie. I feel like either the only people who gave it like the 89%, as you saw earlier, were like diehard children who love the FNAF, the gay-ass FNAF series, or people who did like ironically because they know it's a shit movie. Either way.
Believe me, here is a tweet of me actually looking at the film poster before going inside to see it in Swedish. The film actually wasn't Swedish, thankfully. It was in English. It just had Swedish subtitles, so you just had like Hurdudur meatball appearing every 2 seconds.
Poster looks so shit. Also, I want to go back because I love the Swedish language. Beijo Barmia 27 October. That's good. I like that.
Now, when I posted that tweet, it did all right. It got about like 18,000 likes or so. And then someone quote tweeted it because I said I didn't like the film, saying it's because they weren't fat enough. And this guy basically completely ratioed me getting over 50,000 likes.
Oh, boo-hoo. You ratioed me.
I like about the film, I think the actors did a really good job. For example, you had Mike Schmidt, played by the Hunger Games guy, and he did a really good job communicating that he was, you know, kind of a mentally unstable guy who had a very good relationship with his kid sister, but more importantly, lost his kid brother a very long time ago, and he hasn't really moved past that trauma. There was an opening part of the film, this is literally like 2 minutes into the film, it's not really a spoiler, where he beats up this kid's dad because he thinks like the kid's being kidnapped or something. It looks very aggressive, very weird. And at the time, I thought it was almost like a comedy, how much he flipped out, but there were some subtleties, like for example, some medication that he put away in the drawer, you didn't actually get the name of it, and also the fact we get these flashbacks of him losing his kid brother, so obviously there's some kind of tie there, and it, you know, he's reliving his trauma, so he acted it out on that guy. I feel like
I'm
it's
not surprised you mentioned this now, that the actors are quite good, because I feel it's kind of movie that, I'm gonna be honest, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie just feels like a cash grab, so clearly it wasn't gonna like have a lot of quality put into it, so I'm actually surprised he did mention that the actors were not that bad. Because at first you would think like they would just get anybody to be in the movie and they wouldn't care about like how good their job was, you know. As long as they did their lines, who really gives a shit if it's like, you know, Oscar nominee worthy? It doesn't matter. But you know, he did just say like they actually did put some effort into it, even though I don't think most people who, you know, come to the movie expect that from it.
It's almost a film that you watch once, it's almost like a comedy film, but if I were to go and see it again, I'd, you know, look at a scene and be like, oh, so that's why that happened. Another good thing about the film as well was the animatronics. They actually rotated between like having actual like robots and then actors in suits, but it looked pretty convincing. You can really tell like the majority of the budget actually went into making these animatronics look as close to the games as possible. I remember there was like a meme going around originally of them having like red eyes and it looked really jarring, really stupid. And in the film, it doesn't really take away from it. I also thought Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, or Matthew Lillard, the actor, he played William Afton, and he did a really good job.
Oh, he'll go back. That's actually, yeah, it's a pretty big shift. Jesus Christ. I'm guessing, of course, he got older from, you know, the fucking Scooby-Doo movie, but yeah, that looks way more different.
He played William Afton, and he did a really good job, usually because whenever he's cast in something, it's something very bizarre. Like, for example, he was one of the killers in the first Scream film, and also, yeah, like I said, he was Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
I'm okay, Scoob.
But he does a really good performance here. I just think they didn't really utilize him in the best way possible because he appears like pretty heavily in the first act of the film. He'll have a lot of conversations with Mike, trying to entice him to getting the job as a night guard working at Five Nights at Freddy's. Working at
Five Nights.
I said working at Five Nights at Freddy's.
Fucking idiot.
You have to keep that in.
I'm keeping that in.
Good.
I'm keeping that in. Working at Five Nights at Freddy's. It was actually a running gag that we had when I was watching the film, and it was basically that William was going to say to Mike, "Listen, we've got one job for you. You need to spend 5 nights at Freddy's."
Oh, they shut up. Who really gives a shit if they made it that corny? You know, that would have like blown up on Twitter, and people would have actually gone to see the movie just for that one line.
But like I said, he appears a lot in the opening of the film, trying to, sell the job. But then he's completely absent for the rest of the film. And then he appears at the very end as, the bad guy, as Springtrap. I've seen a lot of people basically say that the film is too lore heavy. And I definitely do agree with that because they try to dump so much so quickly. Like, for example,
there's no way there's that much lore.
William Afton killing all the kids until basically 20 minutes before the film's over. I feel like the pacing has a really huge issue throughout the film. Like, plot threads will get brought up and then dumped and then just never really resolved. You also have Vanessa that appears from the Security Breach game as well. I'm not sure the woman who played her. I don't really care. And I feel like she did...
Yeah, exactly. Fuck her. But I feel like the only way to make this kind of movie is to have a bunch of lore for all the fanboys who want to watch it, Because outside from the story, there really isn't that much, appeal to it. Apart from the characters as well. It's that and the animatronics as well. Because those are the two main attractions in the movie. If they tried to make an entire new scene with none of the characters that everyone knows, yeah, it would have done horrible. Because no one wants to waste their time to watch that kind of movie unless it's something they recognize. Plus there's a whole meme of the Five Nights at Freddy movie. Why would you waste that by trying to make something new when you know a simple story? Well, not a simple story, but taking something from the first game and just making it into a movie. Because that's all people really care about, to be honest.
As an actress, but the lines that they gave her was so bizarre. For example, there's this one bit, I think halfway through the film, where the animatronics and Mike and Mike's kid sister, they're all doing kind of a pillow fort to show that they're not aggressive, I guess. This is 30 minutes after they just killed 5 people that broke into the pizzeria. But you've got Vanessa and Mike being really nice to each other. It's a good atmosphere. But then Vanessa bizarrely turns around to Mike before she gets back in the car and says, "If you bring your kid sister here again, I'm going to shoot you." Not arrest you, by the way, because she is, a policewoman, not just another security guard. Not arrest, I will shoot you.
I don't imagine the writers of this movie were the smartest people in the industry.
Minutes prior, they were building a pillow fort and they had a happy music montage. I think if you're a Five Nights at Freddy's fan and you're going there for the lore, you will like this film. You'll really enjoy it because they really do try to cover every single plot thread. Not the stuff from let's say Five Nights at Freddy's 4 where you're a kid in a bedroom.
Okay, so the first night is never usually that bad in any of the games, so I'll play through...
Or the sister location stuff, but they do cram enough of the lore in to at least set up, I'd say, the original trilogy with some additions as well because, like I said, you've got Vanessa, who wasn't a thing until, Security Breach. Now, another problem with this film as well is, like I said in the previous video, it is PG-13. So a lot of the kills, pretty much all of the kills that you see are off screen, or it's kind of just more implied. And I get it, if you don't show the horror, it could actually be more terrifying because your brain kind of has to fill in the pieces. But with here, I really feel that if it got a mature rating and there was actually some more gore and stuff, then it would have been at least something you could look back to or just see as a clip on TikTok. There's
no way. That movie had to be in PG-13 to make as much money as possible. If they made it mature, they would have been locked away from an entire ocean worth of money because the main people gonna watch movie, it's fanboys, which is mainly kids. So if you restrict them from it, you're gonna have a bunch of tickets that you can't sell because they can't see the movie. Plus, at least then, I'm pretty sure for PG-13, even really young kids, that aren't teenagers yet, can still watch the movie with their parents. Plus, you don't really have to show a lot of gore, like he said, because even the animatronics are enough to keep people's attention. It's not like you have to twist into something new. It's don't fix what's not broken, because the idea already sells.
one part in the film where a woman that breaks into the pizzeria, she kind of reaches into this like Freddy Fazbear mask, and then it bites her off. And it's not just like her head, like the bite of 87. You can literally see half of her torso just fall off, like she was made of paper or something. Like I said earlier, if you enjoy the lore, you're going to enjoy this film, but I feel like a lot of the substance was actually removed to make time for the lore. Now, I've talked about a lot of the good actors. There were some also truly terrible actors in the film. I'm not sure.
I was right. See, I knew there was some shitty acts in it. Because why would they have to try?
And she's just looking around like this, almost like she thinks she's going to get like a primetime Emmy or something. There was one woman in the film. Her acting was not good. Who did she play again? Was it Mike's mom? Yeah. Mike's aunt, that's right, yep. And you can tell that she's estranged, she's just not a nice person, but there is no subtlety conveyed to that whatsoever. It's funny how this woman was wrote to be basically a bigger supervillain than William Afton, who was known for, actually being a child serial killer. At one point in the film, like mild spoilers here, she hires a bunch of people to break into the pizzeria so Mike loses custody of his kid sister. And it even goes as far to the point where the babysitter that watches the kid sister while Mike's away at work is like in on it. And she's like basically on the aunt's payroll to ruin Mike's life. But I'll be honest, having a film with like a couple dozen actors and like one of them being really bad, that's really not too bad. Now, I'm sure
No, it's one of those things where like one bad apple really ruins the bunch. I don't give a shit if the main character is good. If there's one, the auntie who does a really shit job at acting, then yeah, I'm gonna remember that more than, anyone else.
Feed and TikTok is the YouTuber cameos. This isn't like a YouTuber cameo film. There's only two that actually appear in it. You've got
I want to see this. Hold on.
The YouTuber cameos. This isn't like a YouTuber cameo film. There's only two.
So you got, who are these people? Oh yeah, I know Darko. Yeah, I only know Darko. I don't know any of these four people. Also, I want to say, I know this is really nitpicky. You can tell like they didn't come to one studio. They just got like a bunch of pictures done from where they live and just sent it over. Like this nice man October.
Actually appear in it. You've got Corey Kenshin and Matt Pat. Matt Pat's cameo was probably as good as it could be for Matt Pat. He even managed to, get out, that's just a theory.
Some people say that, but it's just a theory.
Are you being...
Yes, finally.
But
that man was born. He was gifted by God for all those years just so you can say that one line, that one gay line in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
That was probably part of a contract because he gave so much lore and information over to the writers so they could write the story. Again, probably another reason why this film was so bloated with giving every single aspect of the story. Corey Kenshin's cameos were very different. He was good. Like, I like the stuff he said. His role was good. Again, it was just a cameo. But it felt like...
Yeah, I'm surprised they got Corey Kenshin. I'm surprised because I know he's popular, but I didn't know he was that like tied to Five Nights at Freddy's. Because I thought they would get someone like Markiplier because, he's like the most iconic person for this kind of movie. But I'm guessing there was like a long discussion on if they could get him in, and then it turned out they couldn't, so maybe that's why.
Good, like I like the stuff he said. His role was good. Again, it was just a cameo, but it felt like it broke up the film too much, and it almost turned into a bit of a comedy. Like you've got this one bit where Freddy actually escapes the pizzeria, and then he I'm not sure whether he kills the aunt or not. It's kind of implied. But then how did he get all the way out of the pizzeria to the house? But then to get back to the pizzeria, he gets inside of a taxi and Corey Kenshin is the taxi driver. And I think he just looks back at them and he goes like, why do I always get the degenerates or something like that?
Where to? Why do I always get the weirdos?
I get in horror films, you can have like a little bit of comedic relief and it really does help break the tension, but it really did feel like they shot the entire film and then they were like, oh, we can get Corey Kenshin on this. And then they kind of slot his sections in afterwards. Now, I'm sure you've also heard there aren't a lot of jump scares in the film. I actually really like that because one thing I do hate doing is going to see horror films in cinemas. I think the last horror film I saw was Smile. And that was just me basically sat in the cinema with my fingers in my ears going... And then before that,
Pussy.
in the UK, I saw this film called The Boy 2 with my girlfriend and PewDiePie. And that was one of the worst horror films I've ever seen. So this, out of all the horror films I've seen in a cinema, which is 3... this is the best one. And this film, like I said, basically has no jump scares. And that can usually be a good thing because if there's less jump scares when they hit, they really, really hit. But the jump scares in this film are very cheap. I think there's one point where Mike opens a locker and then there's just the balloon boy, but not the actual balloon boy, just like a little model toy of the balloon boy. And it just does this like artificial zoom in and plays like a loud audio stinger. And then it happens again. And then it happens a third time with Corey Kenshin in the car. Again, it almost felt like they had to add the jump scares because without them, it wouldn't really be a horror film, almost more of like a thriller. Because again, it's a PG-13 film. There's not really much you can do in the sense of gore. You've got to rely more on jump scares, and there really just weren't a lot of jump scares in this film. Another cool
Either
thing
that
about the
or
film
they
is
didn't want to scare all the children in the theater, so they had to keep them chained up by not scaring them.
as well is I didn't even realize this until like halfway through, but it's set in the 90s. Obviously, no one's got a smartphone. Everyone uses the
Who's
old
that in the
CRT
back?
monitors. And when Mike actually goes to the pizzeria for the first time, he's going to watch an instruction tape, which is on a VHS with his name scrawled on it. One thing that's really apparent, though, whether you really enjoyed the film and you're a diehard fan or you...
Oh, it's a normal. He's throwing fan out.
was a
I guess think so. I don't know.
financial success. I think the budget was only around $20 million or so, and already worldwide, it's made $130 million. But
No
that is-
fucking way. I know it was gonna make a lot of money, but I had no idea it was gonna make almost 20 million, 130. I'm so shit at math. Around almost 5 times much. Let me check. Yeah, see, worldwide 146,000. Almost, yeah, 140. Yeah, whatever. Let me see the budget, because that's actually, if you can turn over that like such a small budget into like this much money, that's incredible, I have to admit. 20 million, 20, wait, he said 20 million in the video, yeah, that's right. That's just incredible. I mean, I know it was made by Blumhouse, and with this kind of movie, I'm sure like all the people behind it were just focusing on like saving as much money as possible. Plus, with something like Five Nights at Freddy's, it is kind of made to be cheaply made because it's not really that complex. I'm sure the movie's set like in the pizzeria, therefore you can easily, you don't have to make the set look good. Even if you do it cheaply, it will look bad, but that would just add to like the atmosphere of the movie, which is good. So I kind of have to respect how they were to like turn that into 146 million. And to be honest, this might inspire them to make a sequel, because I mean, yeah, this one already did so well in terms of money and for the audience. It was hated a lot, but people went to watch it like for the meal of it. Therefore, if they made a sequel, they might still be able to like write off the meme of Five Nights at Freddy's true.
But that is pretty common with Blumhouse projects. It is very low budget for, Hollywood. It's a lower budget film, but it sees insane returns because people just love horror films. They can't get enough of it. And I'll be honest, even though I've got problems with the film, I'm happy that it's out there, that it exists, that we live in the timeline where the FNAF film actually got made, because video game films, they usually suck. This is probably the best video game film I've ever seen. Again, I still do have some problems with it, but overall, I'm happy that it exists. Now, I've tried looking online to see if there's going to be like any kind of follow-up film or any kind of sequel, because usually at this rate, the way stuff is so franchised, it's going to have a film, and then it's going to have a TV spin-off series, and then it's probably going to have a film based off that TV spin-off series.
There's no way you can make a TV show off it. No way.
Sequel, it's not like an open and shut case. So there is every chance that there could be a sequel, but I'm not really sure where they'd go from here, because obviously you've got so many characters from different installments of Five Nights at Freddy's. So the next installment would probably be even further detached from the actual franchise. So yeah, overall, Five Nights at Freddy's is one of the films of all time. And just so I don't get cooked on Twitter again, I'll give it a 10 out of 10.
Good. Pussy. Always resulting to making people happy. But yeah, what he said about there being a TV show, I guess it could do well, just because they could like throw just random shit and as the plot, and people just like make theories about it. And that's the best way to like get people engaged, by making them like in their spare time make theories, which is what will keep people like attached to the show and bring in new fans. Therefore, I guess that could do well. And plus, I'm sure it wouldn't be that expensive, so I think a TV show would be a good avenue, even a sequel. I mean, for this movie, it just made like a random story, so it wouldn't be that hard to make like a new one for the next sequel. But one thing that does stick out to me is how he said like he's glad they came out. I mean, to be honest, so am I, because at least it's out there. It's gonna be a massive part of history. But it does feel like it came out like half a decade late. If it just came out like way earlier, it would have blown up. But now, because like the series is kind of like dead, with it being like nowhere near as popular as it was back like in the early days, it definitely lost some hype I could have gotten. But I guess when it comes to like making a movie of a game, especially when most producers don't really play games or know about the franchise, it is hard to like start production because they don't really know how to handle it. Plus, you also have to like buy the franchise developer, which I'm sure is like an extra step of the hassle. But overall, I am surprised like he had like some few good things to say about the movie, because even the idea of a video game movie based off of like one of the most biggest franchise like Five Nights at Freddy's, it is supposed to be like it came out not half bad. There were bad parts of it, like he said, but overall there were some good aspects that he pointed out, and I was expecting it to like, be like the entire movie was just shit, with everyone like hating it. I mean, there were the fanboys, but I was expecting even the fanboys to like hate on it because it wasn't, you know, consistent with the plot. Which I'm actually surprised, because if they made a new story, I imagine like they would fuck it up and just piss off everyone. But no, so far it seemed like some few people were happy with it, so I guess good for them, you know. All you can really do now is just, you know, wait for the TV show or the movie, which, you know, I'm excited for that, absolutely.